Today's tasting is a regional beer showdown. We have Natty Bo,
Open a can of National Bohemian beer.
Iron City,
The deep down satisfying taste of a cold Iron City beer.
Baltimore versus Pittsburgh. Who's it gonna be? All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the House Brewing Company YouTube channel, where today we are pitting two regional beer icons against one another. But before we do, a little bit of background. This tasting came to be as part of our reaction video to the 36 worst beers. And on that list, these two beers came up. I kind of pled the fifth and said, hey, I don't know these beers.
Iron City beer. I don't know it. National Bohemian. Natty Bo. Baltimore's version of Natural Light. This kind of sounds awesome.
If these beers are even on a list, it's probably going to upset somebody to suggest that these two regional beloved beers are hated by anybody. So first and foremost, I'm going to decide if anybody should hate these beers. And secondly, I'm going to crown a favorite of these two regional icons. The guys have prepared this sample for me blind in these black glasses, which makes it really, really hard to determine what beer is what, and it really focuses my ability to taste on just the aroma and the flavor. And you guys can see down below what I'm drinking. So the things that I do know about these two beers is that one is, I'm not sure if it's brewed in Pittsburgh or if it's just the beer of Pittsburgh, but I mean, it is called Iron City, so one would assume. Personally, I've never been to Pittsburgh. I don't know too much about Pittsburgh. I know you guys have a football team, and I'm sure you guys have a lovely place, but the point is, I know a lot about beer. I just don't know anything about your city and this beer. Moving on to Baltimore, we have Natty Bo, National Bohemian, which, you know, anytime a beer has a affectionate name like Natty Bo, you know it has a lot of fans. But I can't say that I know too much about Baltimore other than you guys, you definitely have a football team, definitely have a baseball team. Camden Yards is awesome. I've never been there, but I do remember the home run derby where Ken Griffey smacked it off the brick wall and everyone was going nuts back in the day.
Oh, holy cow.
Aside from that, long story short, I don't know anything about these beers. I don't know too much about the love behind them and the regions that they reside in, but I do know a lot about beer. So I'm going to do my best deciding whether or not these are worthy of being removed from the worst beer list. And secondly, which of these two is the best. Let's dive in. Simple, simple, simple. A little bit of bready malt characteristic, a little bit of that lager yeast note. As you guys often hear me describe in a light lager like this, there's a little bit of that acetaldehyde note, which is kind of a cidery green apple note coming through. It's very subdued. A little bit of citrusy hop, to be honest, not too bad. But all in all, this smells like American light lager. Clean, easy drinking. Right now, warm, sunny day, cold beer in the glass. I like that quite a lot. Moving on to sample number two. Ooh, this one's a little more subdued on the nose. Not as much of that appley characteristic. Maybe a hint of corn. It's hard to tell. Sometimes, you know, in beer, there's something called dimethyl sulfide. Dimethyl sulfide is a compound that resides within malt that you can or can't boil off. And sometimes that cream corn characteristic can actually appear in a beer, whether you've utilized corn in the base or not. All that said, I would guess that these brewers are using corn in these beers. It can just be hard to tell when you taste them. This guy has a slight diacetyl note, which is that buttery note that we've talked about on the channel. These are similar. All right. It's going to take me some back and forth to see what I think. I think this guy on your left has a little bit richer of a flavor. This guy here, a little bit less hop, a little bit less full, a little bit drier on the palate. Probably more drinkable, but objectively as a quality of beer thing, I'm kind of leaning toward the sample on your left at the moment. One thing I'll definitely say, that 36 worst beer list, including these two, was absolutely wrong. Both of these beers have no flaw, brewed meticulously, clean, drinkable, no sulfur, no off compounds, drinking really, really nicely. So in terms of whether or not these beers deserve to be on the worst beer list, sorry, neither one of them does. Well, who's the crowd favorite here? I don't know. Like, is there more people in Pittsburgh than Baltimore? Who am I Who knows, right?
I like the Natty Bo logo.
You like the Natty Bo logo?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a logo favorite, but
I like Iron City's logo.
okay, we have Michael videographer in the red corner and Nick videographer in the blue corner, and they both like the opposite label. I don't know if that's very helpful, but I think both are great classic American cities, engines of economic prowess in our history, and who knows who I'm gonna upset right now, because I don't even know which one I'm picking. That's the beauty of it. This is drama, dude. I'm nervous. Man, this is really tough, because if you guys have watched the channel for a long time, you know that I typically gravitate toward the beers that are the most dry and drinkable. But for some reason, the beer on your left has a more complex flavor profile ever so slightly. And I'm leaning toward picking it as my favorite, but I'm not sure. I'm just letting it simmer. All things considered, I can assure you, you cannot go wrong with either beer, and fans of each who would die on the hill of defending one or the other are dying on the wrong hill, because essentially they're the same beer, or they're very, very similar. All right, so without further ado, my favorite in the iconic regional beer showdown is the sample on your left. It's richer, fuller, more complex, ever so slightly, than this sample on your right. What are we drinking?
Natty Bo.
Natty Bo, Baltimore, Cal Ripken Jr. I love to see it. So Natty Bo on the left and Iron City on the right. Guys, both of these beers are super solid American adjunct light lagers, and you can't go wrong with either one. If you are in the region of Baltimore, I encourage you to try Natty Bo, and if you're in the region of Pittsburgh, I encourage you to try Iron City. That's it for today, guys. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.